all of a sudden, I was working. I was still in the ninth grade, and
Okay.
ninth grade, and then
Like first year of high school.
first year of high school. But back then, it was still middle school. They called it junior high back then, but it was middle school.
Okay.
And my godfather, he played guitar, so he would play in all these little bars in Pacoima.
Yeah.
And so I was allowed to play there because my dad was playing in the band, but since he worked construction and it got too much for him because of the drinking, blah, 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 and in the weekends, and, my mom put the pressure on him to calm down, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they say, hey, why don't you play drums? So I go, okay. I was making $5 an hour. To me back then, that was some buku money.
Yeah, and it
You
was.
know, in the late '60s, like early 1970, right? So that's why I started doing all these bars and stuff. And then I went to a local music store called Castles, and they said, "Hey, man, they're looking for a drummer at this place, Acapulco." I go, "Really? You're looking for a drummer?" Yeah. Okay. So I went down there and I saw that, and I introduced myself to these people, right? And they were playing like Little Joe material, and I don't know who Little Joe was. Little Joe, if you don't know who he is, he's like the Tejano, Texas Godfather. He's still around. He's like 84 years old now. But
Around it could be. Is he playing still? Like,
Sorry?
or is he playing out there?
yeah, he's still out there. Oh yeah, he
Okay.
still sounds really good. And
Amazing.
yeah, so he's got over like 100 albums. I don't know how many
Oh, yeah.
Grammys he's got out now.
By the way, everybody, I know Little Joe and La Familia. Like I know the music growing up in Northern California, Bay Area and stuff. Like all of my grandfathers, from Arizona. And
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
you
the
know,
Tejano. It's
oh,
a
yeah.
different thing too, man. From the
Mhm.
West Coast, the what do you call it, norteño or conjunto music from here, from Tejano music, it's different.
It's different.
It's a different culture, man.
Yeah.
And,
Norteño music and Tejano music. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally
it's
different.
different.
Yep.
yeah. So anyway, coming back to that, you say they need
Yeah.
a drummer over there. So I go, all right. So I went down there and I said, hey man, I heard you guys need a drummer. Oh yeah. So would you play? Yeah, I can play. I says, all right. So they let me play a song. They go, wow, okay. And you know who was drumming at that time was John DeLuna. John DeLuna was the original drummer from El Chicano. And he was going to move. He didn't want to be in the band anymore. I go, that's John DeLuna. Oh my God.
Wow.
And
Pacoima.
from Pacoima, in Pacoima, he was playing there
Yes.
at a little
Yes.
dive place called Acapulco.
Wow.
And I go, John DeLuna, wow. So anyway, so I started playing with the band. And the guys in the band, Gary Herbeck and all these guys were top session players, right? They did movie scores for everybody. They worked with
Ripping it.
Elvis and everybody, but that was their weekend thing.
Yes.
We make $30 a night,
Woo.
right? And of course, they're just there just to have fun and just because they would read the charts. The guy had charts and everything.
That's not
you
too
know?
far from some of the pay at some spots now.
Yeah, hasn't changed, right?
Hasn't changed.
Well,
but
$35 now.
But yes, amazing.
Yeah,
These musicians. Oh my
so
God.
then he goes, hey man, Little Joe needs a drummer. The saxophone turns around. He goes, Little Joe needs a drummer, and I think I told him about you, and he's gonna come. He wants to come check you out. And I go, okay. Well, I go, yeah. What's the odds of that? I'll keep coming. But he came. He came with his brother
Get
because
outta here.
he came in the early '70s, like in '74, to California to try to break out Tejano music. So he had two houses in Canoga Park, one for the band and one for his family.
Amazing.
So he came down to the club and he heard me play. And when during the break, he goes, hey, man, I need a drummer. You want to play? Wow. I said, you mean in your band? He goes, yeah. Because I like what you're doing, man. And so I told the leader of the band, he goes, go for it, because he was a big Little Joe fan, you know. He goes, if that was me, I would go. And I go, okay. And
How long did you play with them?
for about 3 years. So what happened with that, so after the 2 years, I mean, I played here like 6 months all up and down, you know, then we'll fly out to Chicago or somewhere, you know, Kansas City, but we were playing mostly up and down the coast, you know, with this band. But Tejano music didn't hit. So what happens, he packed up his stuff and went back to Texas.
Okay.
I thought then nothing of it. I'm going like, okay, well then that's over, right? I'm starting working little club gigs again. So I get a call from Joe. You know, we didn't have cell phones. It was just a regular old school phones and
The cable.
yeah, the cable.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, Sal." He goes, "Hey, man, I need a drummer." It's like, you do? So like, when? He was like, now. He goes, "You want to come?" And I go, yeah, but how am I going to get there?
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, there's another Sal Aguilera who played saxophone in San Diego.
Uh-huh.
When we were up and down the coast, we became friends because he goes, 'Hey, how do you like that guy on sax? He played flute and congas.' And he goes, 'He's a good player, man.' So he joined the band while we were here in California. Because so when Little Joe went back to Temple, Texas, that's where he's from, he said, 'How am I going to get there?' I asked him. He goes, 'Well, I already asked Sal Aguilera if he's going to come. He can come by and pick you up.' He had a little Dodge, 1974 Dodge Dart.
There's your ride.
Pickup, right? He goes, I go, 'Yeah, but where am I going to stay?' He goes, 'You can stay with me. I got a den. You guys can stay there.' I go, 'Okay.' So we drove all the way to Texas, 1974.
How long of a drive is that?
Oh, God. That's 24 hours nonstop. So it took us a couple of days.
Okay, yeah, about 2-day drive.
Yeah,
okay.
2-day ride. But,
fun stuff, right? You guys
fun
are
stuff back then. Well, you're young and whoo-hoo.
Yeah, no, and let me see. What year was that?
74.
So were you listening to 8-tracks? Or cassettes?
No, there was cassettes barely came out.
Barely came out? Okay.
Yeah, barely.
You remember the big 8-track players, right?
Yeah. The cassettes were, and then the little portable cassettes came out too,
Oh, yeah, so you could just have a little.
Yeah, you had a little with a battery operated, you have to keep buying batteries.
Right. I still love cassette sound, just sidebar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that's how we drove way out there. And so to me, it was like a culture shock, because it was different. And there was so much great musicians out there too, young guys too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, man, the grooves, the feel, everything's different. I love their arrangements. They're like really orchestrated.
Right.
And Joe, man, Little Joe took it to another level because he was the first like hippie Tejano guys, with the long hair, the boots and all that stuff. And I go, man, crazy. So he was a pioneer for that. Breaking out, doing Little Joe, his style.
Yes.
Because he would do a lot of Jose Alfredo Jimenez songs and compose them. And he had great writers, Joe Gallardo, Luis Casca was in the band, and, but he had some incredible arrangements, man. But that's how I got my experience in Tejano music. We did the first super dance show in San Antonio, was Sonny and the Sunliners, Jimmy Edwards, Ruben Ramos, and it was this big old convention center for the first time. And that's the first time Little Joe and Sonny Osuna played on the same stage, but they were the big rivals. But they were good rivals. The
rival bands?
But yeah, because Joe
Carlos
put an album, there was
that.
nobody bigger than those two guys.
Okay.
Little Joe and Sonny Osuna.
Yeah, because they're the big...
Yeah, they were at the Pioneer Tejanos with the, putting out records, boom, one right after, almost every year.
Yep.
Right, we talk about content.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience, man. I go, and then I see them dancing counterclockwise like this, a whole bunch of Tejanos just like this, I go like, and you spinning around, doing all that. I go,
man, I hope we can show some footage of that stuff.
Because, I go, man, they're organized, man. Over there, over here, man, with knocking tables over,
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it was different. But and then the radio stations were bilingual.
Already?
Yeah. Ahora Tejano says, se van a presentar. Tonight it's going to be Little Joe. No se te olvide. I'm going like,
so major.
It's bilingual.
Man. So major.
I never heard that.
Everyone needs to hear and needs to know about this now.
And it's still that way right now.
Yes.
It's still that way.
Yes.
But that was my great experience with Joe, man. So we've always kept in touch, and I toured all over Texas and all over the place with Joe.
It was natural.
It was great, man.
Yeah.
It was such a great experience. And he took me under his wing. Today he's still like my Texas godfather,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's there's a new surgence of Tejano music actually coming out, and people trying to bring and that back and stuff. And the people that I've talked to here, Daryl Salcida, if you should get to know him. He has a Tejano label over there as
Wow.
well in San Antonio.
Wow.
So there's some synergy there. We could talk about it later. But
Yeah, there's some great musicians, man. You know, and so that Tejano scene, man. Back then they were allowed to bring alcohol in the dances.
oh
Yeah,
wow,
they had their own little bars, their
You could
little
bring your-
suitcases.
bring your own beer.
Bring your own BYOB. Bring your own
no
booze.
kidding. Yeah.
So
right.
I was
right.
like, what?
Right.
But
So the promoters really didn't get
Didn't
they
get-
were making all that money on
So
alcohol.
I don't know
yet.
how they made,
So maybe
but-
ticket sales. Did you have to buy tickets to
Yeah,
get in?
of course, yeah,
Okay, so
tickets to
ticket
get in,
sales
yeah.
are making it there.
Yeah.
But they probably, at the time, probably saw that to be, good because now, how much is parking's more than, than movie tickets were.
a house
ever.
payment.
Like seriously.
Yeah, it's
Parking
100
places is like
$150.
seriously,
yeah.
$150 for parking sometimes, or $100. It's like what?
$100 and it's out of control.
Yeah. So like fast forward, Little Joe and the Familia, and maybe
I did a
few
couple
other-
albums with him too.
Oh, you did some-
Brown
okay.
stuff, and he came out with a song "Trago mi 45," right?
Oh.
Which he says, I have my 45. Anybody mess with me, right? And he said this one obscenity word. He said, "Trago mi 45 para todos los." I can't say the word, but he was banned from the radio. The first guy that I know that was banned. That for playing that song. You can't play that song. But it wasn't like a real nasty cuss word. It was just a slang word.
Right.
I could say like cabrones, right?
Right.
Para todos los cabrones. And then they're like, no, you can't say that.
No.
So he went
And
back
then
and
he was
he had
banned
to
from the
change
radio.
the lyrics on that.
The
But
song
he was controversial.
Or was he? Was the song banned or was he?
No, the song.
The song was
Yeah,
okay,
the song.
okay,
Because Little Joe was just like, how do you ban James Brown?
Yeah, right.
Or
And all the songs.